Welcome back, students, to the part 2 of the chapter A Diary of Anne Frank. Let us continue. We had seen in the last class that Anne tells how she has a great relationship with all her teachers except the maths professor. He used to constantly get irritated by her talkativeness. Despite several warnings, Anne did not stop talking in her class, and which prompted him to give her an extra homework as punishment. Now he had given her to write an essay on chatterbox, which she thought was a weird topic to write on, because what could one write about that? For the moment, she wrote down the topic in her notebook and kept it in her bag and focused on staying quiet. Now let us continue. That evening, after I had finished the rest of my homework, the note about the essay caught my eye. I began thinking about the subject while chewing the tip of my fountain pen. Anyone could ramble on and leave big spaces between the words, but the trick was to come up with a convincing argument to prove the necessity of talking. I thought, and suddenly I had an idea. I wrote the 3 pages Mr. Kissing had assigned me and was satisfied. I argued that talking is a student's trait and that I would not do my best to keep it under control, but that I would never be able to cure myself of the habit since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more, and that there's not much you can do about inherited trait. So here she came across the notebook she made as a reminder for the essay after she had finished the rest of her homework. She began thinking about the topic while chewing the tip of her pen. It's a gesture that signifies that she is in a deep thinking. While anyone could write random stuff written for the sake of filling pages, but she wanted to present concrete arguments in support of the talking. She mentioned that she will try to better herself as a student, but talking is something that cannot be controlled or eliminated completely. This is because she got it as an inherited trait from her mother, or an innate trait from her mother, and this is how she ended up writing 3 pages of the topic. Mr. Kissing had good laugh at my arguments, but when I proceeded to talk my way through the next lesson, he assigned me a second essay. This time it was supposed to be an incorrigible chatterbox. Now, incorrigible, something that cannot be corrected, usually a bad quality. I handed it in, and Mr. Kissing had nothing to complain about for 2 whole lessons. However, during the 3rd lesson, he would finally had enough. Anne Frank, as punishment for talking in class, write an essay entitled Quack, 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 said Mr. Chatterbox. Now here, the professor found Anne's argument to be amusing. But when she did not stop talking in the next lesson, also, he gave her another assignment as punishment. Now, the topic was an incorrigible chatterbox. Incorrigible refers to a bad habit that is difficult to change. He gave her this topic because he was annoyed of her unstoppable chattering during his lessons. On receiving this assignment, the professor did not say anything to her for a while, but when he lost his patience, he handed her yet another assignment as punishment on the topic Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. Now let us continue. The class roared. I had a laugh too, though I would nearly exhausted my ingenuity on the topic of chatterboxes. It was time to come up with something else, something original. My friend said Sunny, who's good at poetry, offered to help me write the essay from beginning to end in verse, and I jumped for joy. Mr. Kissing was trying to play a joke on me with his ridiculous subject, but I would make sure the joke was on him. Now here, when the professor scolded her for the 3rd time and punished her, the whole class started laughing. As a result, she had to pretend to be amused too. After writing twice on similar topics, she ran out of thoughts. Thus, she had asked her friend Sunny, who was good at poetry, and she offered her to help her write a poem. This whole assignment scenario was to make Anne feel ashamed, but she made sure that she gave an effective reply. I finished my poem and it was beautiful. It was about a mother duck and father swan with 3 baby ducklings who were bitten to death by the father because they quacked too much. Luckily, Mr. Kissing took the joke the right way. He read the poem to the class, adding his own comments, and to several other classes as well. Since then, I have been allowed to talk and haven't been assigned an extra homework. On the contrary, Mr. Kissing always making jokes these days. Yours, Anne. Now here you can see that she finally wrote her third assignment in the form of a poem, which turned out to be great. She wrote a satire that a father swan bit his 3 baby ducklings to death because of their noisy nature. To her good luck, Mr. Kissing took it lightly. He recited the entire poem in front of the class while giving his own remarks. And being fortunate enough, talked uninterruptedly after this incident without any further homework as assignment. Also, Mr. Kissing, the professor, started cracking jokes every now and then in front of the class. So this was the lesson all about. This was an extract from the diary of a young girl. So here ends the chapter.